All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and our good friends from Bobby Catcher Imports were in, and I'll never forget the dinner we did with Bobby at the restaurant on 17th Street. He is a real character, and you know, his wines speak volume about him. I think they're all big, but they're very typical from the region where they come from, big in personality, and you know, I've never met a lot of the producers, but I have to say, over the years, the wines I've had from his portfolio have all been excellent. This is the first time I think I've had a champagne from him, and Lamiable. I don't know how you say that. You know, I failed French class in high school and in college, consistently bad, but it's a small producer, 100% Grand Cru juice, and supposedly they have a lot of vineyard holdings, and they sell a fair amount of their fruit, but they don't buy any. They make all of their champagne from their own grapes. That's why it says NM on the label. You know, there's a little code on every champagne bottle, and if it says NM, that means it's a négociant. So just a little bit of trivia there. This wine's a blend of 60% Pinot Noir, 40% Chardonnay, and the base of this bottling is 2011 vintage. But you would never know that because there's nothing on the bottle that would say, when is the scourge? One of my pet peeves about champagne, please, if you champagne listeners, makers are listening out there, put the disgorgement date on the bottle. We want to know from what batch the wine came from. It does make a difference. And the champagne lovers in this country care. I know a lot of you people say the champagne producers, they really do not care in France. Well, we do here, all right? And this winery is located in the Valley de Marne, located right next door to Laurent Perrier, another one of our famous houses. And this wine, it's got a lovely bouquet, fresh apples, pears, notes of candied ginger, some pretty floral notes, very fresh. I would say this is probably the newest release from them, just based on how the cork expands when you pull it out of the bottle. Another sign that you have fresh champagne. When you pull the cork out, it expands at the bottom. If it doesn't expand, it's probably not the most current release from the winery. Very fresh and creamy on the tongue, also a good amount of that fresh apple, lemon citrus, and that tongue-tingly seashell minerality you get from that chalky soil that they have in Champagne. Excellent juice at $57.50, and that's about the same price as you'll find most of the big houses, non-vintage Brut. Domaine de la Becassonne, Côte de Rhône Blanc. This wine is your traditional blend, Roussanne, Claret, Grenache Blanc, and really pretty nose here. Kind of orange blossoms, peaches, apricots, light honey notes, really rich and layered on the tongue. One of the things I love about Rhône whites, you really get a lovely texture, almost somewhat oily here. And on the next day, maybe not quite as good as the first day, but still very good. And at $17, these are some of the best values you'll find in the world of white or red wine. And a lot of these wines are organically produced. They don't have the same issue with rain at harvest in the Rhone Valley, so they don't need to use a lot of the herbicides, pesticides, or fungicides, rather, that they use in other parts of France. All right, the Domaine Codrier, Pouilly-Fuissé, and this is a small grower producer from the Macon, one of the best value areas. Everybody knows Pouilly-Fuissé in this country. It's become very popular, but because of that, there's a lot of big producers, négociants in Burgundy, that produce really average Pouilly-Fuissé. However, if you get a small grower producer like this, they've got 120 parcels and 30 hectares of vineyards in the Macon here, this family, you can get some exceptional wines from the Macon, and they're going to start to do Premier Cru there. They've got some vineyards that for a long time they've known are exceptional and unique terroirs, and you're going to see Premier Cru Pouilly-Fuissé very soon. All right, this wine's got a lovely bouquet here. Fresh apples, kind of a lemon pledge, citrus notes, and light chalky, flinty, minerally notes. Very clean and focused bouquet. This 2013 vintage, still very young, but a very good vintage for what was made. It was a short year. They had a lot of issues with hail in 2013 in the Côte d'Or. This wine's very bright and focused on the tongue with lemon zest, a green apple, that chalky, minerally note. Really classic Pouilly. Excellent juice. And $45, a little bit expensive for Pouilly, but this stuff is really good. The Mas de Guillot, Grenache Syrah from the Vin de Pays de Garde, which is just south of the Rhone Valley. This wine's got a really unique nose to it, kind of earthy, and a little bit of that animal sauvage, what the French call it. Pretty much a southern Rhone. It's got a little bit of that berry pie fruit, some dried tobacco spice, and dark licorice here. Really nice fruit on the tongue, and a nice hand of that earth, that licorice spice showing up on the finish, but smooth and round on the palate, and a little peppery spice there at the end too. But $11.25, a nice little value. Like I said, they've got a little something for everyone in this Bobby Catcher portfolio. And then the Domaine de Fondrèche, an area that Bobby does really well with, the Southern Rhone. This wine's 90% Syrah, 10% Mourvèdre, biodynamically farmed, and it's made with Stockinger Foudres, which I guess this is the hot thing in the Rhone Valley now to use this barrel producer. And this wine's got a really lovely berry pie nose. What I call berry pie, you get that fresh berries and a little bit of black licorice, a fresh plowed earth, a little bit of an animal note. That Mourvedre gives you a little bit of that animal to the wine almost every time they add it in there. A good amount of that ripe berry pie fruit showing on the tongue. Nice structure, fine tannins, dark spices, and that herbal note showing on the finish along with that animal. Big but not over the top at $33.75. An excellent little Ventoux. And then the Gigondas, and Gigondas is just south of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Usually you can find some exceptional values there. This one's a little expensive, but also very good. And Domaine Saint-Duc, a very famous producer. It's a combination of 3 vineyard sites, au lieu dix, which means Lieu-dit means named vineyard. This one's a blend of Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, and it's got that typical Garrigue quality you get from the south of France, that blend of flowers and herbs, and nice amount of berry pie fruit there on the tongue as well. That floral note showing on the finish along with some peppery spice. Really drinking nice. 2011, a forward and easy drinking vintage from the Southern Rhone. And that is what we had to drink with our friends from Bobby Catcher Selections. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.